Alright YouTube, so we are going to be making some freezer bags for tomatoes, and what we have here is just some of our beefsteaks and some of our other little Fantastics and McDonald's Delights, and so basically what we've done is we have a boiling pot of water, and you keep it in the water for about 30 seconds to soften up the skin, but don't keep them in too long, otherwise they'll make the whole thing soft, and it just makes it easier to peel the skin off. And then over here, I guess I'll show you this first. This is basically the finished product. This is what it should look like. I'm going to jump over when Bree gets some tomatoes to do. I'll show you how she peels them, how she de-seeds them, and the whole process from the beginning.
Okay, so I'm just taking the tomatoes out of their hot water bath, and they will be immediately plunged into a ice water bath, although our ice has melted, but it's cold water. So now I'm going to take these tomatoes and I'm going to put them in the very cold water, and it'll make their skin to the point where it'll slide off very easily.
Do you have to wait till the tomatoes are cold?
You should, yes. It's better to do it that way, to wait until they're cold, because if you leave them more warm, I don't know, it kind of like shocks the tomato from going from a very hot environment to a very cold environment. I have a little too much water in here. Oh boy. But it shocks the tomato and makes its skin loosen up. I'll show you when I'm cutting them. Okay, so I'm going to start with this beautiful hillbilly tomato we have. The first thing you're going to want to do when freezing tomatoes is remove the stem, or some tomatoes are like this, where the stem has already been removed when picked. You just remove that part as well. You don't want very hard, it's very hard flesh there. And the skin should peel off easily. I'm not really sure why it's not. I've had a couple where the skin literally just slides off. I might get lucky and show you one, but this is how your skin should come off your tomatoes. They should easily just slide right off. I don't know why the other one didn't work. They should just slide off the tomato very easily. This is another hillbilly tomato. I actually had a few tomatoes where I was cutting the stems off and the skin would just slide right off. They're really gooey when the skin's off. But so now, when you cut, the skins off my knife. Okay? So I cut in half, and as I was saying with the bigger varieties, I do like a cut here and a cut here, but here I'm just going to cut that in half and then bring it over to the seed bowl and remove the seeds.
We're going to keep those for planting next year.
And do the same with the other halves. Just remove all the seeds.
Show them what it should look like when it's de-seeded.
It's a de-seeded tomato. See the cavities, you want to get, what I try to do when I cut my tomatoes is I try to cut in half where the seed cavities are, as you can feel, because it's soft. Because the tomato has kind of like spines running, and then in between each spine there's a cavity. So I try to cut right in the middle of that cavity. You can see here, I cut in the middle of the cavity, and you got all your seeds, so it's easy to get the seeds out. You don't have to completely demolish the tomato. So now I'm just going to put these into the bowl here, and then Luke is going to explain to you what he's doing.
Alright, so I'm going to have Bree wash her hands so she can hold the camera, and then I'll show you how we prepare our freezer bags. Be right back. Alright, so once you have your slices, you're going to want to take some cold water, and once again, just rinse them off. This gets any extra tomato slime off. The trick is to get as much of the seeds and the slime out of the tomatoes. A lot of people just throw them in the freezer whole, but if you throw them in the freezer, they tend to get a little kind of funnier of a taste, and the skin kind of tends to get a little soft and mushy. So now we've taken our bag and we've labeled it Luke's Tomatoes and date it, obviously, for safety purposes, so you know how old it is. And you just take your tomatoes, try not to make too much of a mess on the outside of the bag, but you can always wash them if you do. Slide them in there. Get a nice heaping bag full. But you want to leave a little bit of room because you're going to take the air out. Maybe fit a couple more in there. Alright. Oopsie. So now what you're going to do is you're going to shake those down. Zip it about an inch of the way left. So there's an inch left to zip up. And you just press down. Now these are going to be great for sauces and soups and stews and chilies. So you're really not going to have to worry much about mushing the tomatoes. You just apply pressure to push the air out, or you can even take a straw and you can suck the air out. In fact, I'll prepare a bag like that and I'll show you the second method to do that.
Okay, so I figured out why my skins on my tomatoes aren't coming off so easily. This is how they should come off. You should literally just like be able to peel them right off. Like there were times where I could squeeze it, but because these tomatoes aren't fully ripe on the top, so the skin is more hard than it is. Well, see here, this is just coming right off. But that's the ripe section of the tomato. This part, the skin is still kind of tough and it breaks very easily because the tomato's not completely ripe. But Luke is now going to show you his other method of freezing with sucking the straw.
Okay, so here we have just a basic straw. And for the people who don't like to mull their tomatoes, I personally don't care because they're going to go into soups, stews, and chilies and whatnot, so they're not going to be whole anyways. But you basically take your straw, zip it up all the way to the straw. You want to squeeze out as much air as possible because it's not really necessary, but don't apply too much pressure to crush the tomatoes. Then what you do is you just and you have a vacuum sealed bag, enough to keep it fresh, but not really as much as you would if you were to push all the air out. This just keeps them kind of more neat and uniform. I personally don't like the method, but if you're kind of one of those people who likes to keep them nice and uniform shape, it'll work for you. Or if you have a food saver like you, Alan,
or me,
or Bree has one too.
We haven't used it though, I'm sorry.
They work out the best out of anything, but I'm not going to spend the money for one because
well, I have one.
I have conventional methods. So
we will use mine. I just have to buy bags.
So, thank you for watching YouTube. See you later. Bye.
Bye.